So let's talk about AI agents. It feels like we've gone from just talking about AI to suddenly building this whole agentic workforce, right? And with that comes this absolute explosion of new tools, and honestly, trying to figure out which one to use can be a lot. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to map this whole thing out for you and make sense of the frameworks, the platforms, and the governance you really need to be thinking about.
Okay, let's just dive right in. Take a look at this. This word cloud perfectly captures just how crowded the AI agent space has gotten. You've probably heard a bunch of these names floating around. LangGraph, CrewAI, AutoGen, all competing for your attention. It's a lot, I get it. But don't worry. Our job here is to cut right through all that noise and give you a really clear map of this new territory.
So to make this easy, we've broken it down into 6 key parts. First, we'll cover the big picture, the dawn of these AI workforces. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the builder landscape, comparing the big enterprise giants and the frameworks for developers. We've also got a really cool single-agent breakthrough to talk about that might just challenge how we think about all this. And we'll wrap it all up with a simple framework to help you choose the right platform for you.
All right, first things first. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. What are we really talking about here? Because this isn't just another buzzword for automation. No, this is about something much bigger. We're talking about building entire teams of, well, digital employees. Teammates that can think and act for themselves. And that's the absolute key difference, right? An AI agent isn't just some passive tool that sits there waiting for you to tell it what to do next. It's an autonomous teammate. It can look at its environment, it can reason, it can make a plan. And then it can actually do stuff to hit the goals you give it, all on its own. And if you want to see where this is already having a huge impact, just look at a high-stakes industry like finance. They're already using these agents to automate incredibly complex work. Things like analyzing investments, managing risk, detecting fraud as it happens, even running personalized customer service. It's happening right now.
Okay, so that's the what. But how do you actually build one? This is where it gets tricky, because the tool landscape is just exploding, and it forces every company, every team to make a really critical choice right from the get-go.
And that choice, it really boils down to a simple trade-off. It's a spectrum, right? On one end, you've got your low-code or no-code builders. These are visual drag-and-drop tools perfect for business users or for just getting a prototype up and running fast. On the other end, you have the pro-code, code-first frameworks. This is where developers live, giving them total control and flexibility to build whatever they can imagine.
Okay, so let's start with the big enterprise giants, because let's be real, this is where most large companies are going to start looking. Let's see how Microsoft, Google, and OpenAI stack up against each other.
What I find fascinating here is that you can really see the different philosophies at play. Take Google's Opal. It's all about building these little, shareable mini apps super quickly. Then you have Microsoft's Copilot Studio, which is laser-focused on integrating with the tools you're already in all day, like Office 365. And OpenAI's AgentKit, that seems to be geared more towards building those really advanced conversational agents that can do some heavy-duty reasoning.
For a CIO or any tech leader, the decision often comes down to something I like to call digital gravity. Basically, where does your data already live? It's a huge factor. If your entire company runs on Microsoft 365, well, their solution is going to be incredibly compelling. But it's not just that. You've also got to look at pricing models and these really critical governance factors like data residency, the rule that your data has to stay in a certain country. For a lot of businesses, that's an absolute deal breaker if it's not supported.
And this quote from a user on Reddit, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the dilemma that so many companies face. They're saying, yeah, sometimes you have to justify using a tool that might be slightly shittier or a bit more expensive. Why? Because the integration into your existing ecosystem, like Microsoft 365, and all the security features that come with it, that's not just a nice to have, it's often non-negotiable.
Okay, so that's the enterprise side. But what if you need more control? What if you want to build from the ground up? Let's switch gears and look at the powerful frameworks that developers are using to build completely custom agent systems.
So here, we're moving away from the big all-in-one platforms and into the world of specialized tools for developers. Take LangGraph, for instance. It's fantastic for managing the low-level stuff like an agent's state, which is basically its memory of what's happening in a task. Then you have CrewAI and AutoGen, which are all about creating and managing teams of specialized agents that work together. And Claude has this really interesting concept of skills, which lets you build these reusable workflows, essentially creating digital employees that are experts at one particular thing. These two charts give us a really great visual breakdown of what's happening in the developer world. On the left, you see the big application areas where people are actually using these things. On the right, it gets more specific, comparing some of the popular frameworks. And you can see right away some tools like CrewAI are super specialized. They're really strong in one particular area. Others, like LangChain, are more of a Swiss Army knife with broader capabilities. It's a great way for a dev to figure out, okay, what's the sharpest tool for the job I have to do?
But here's where it gets really interesting. Just when it seems like everyone agrees that building teams of AI agents is the way to go, some pretty fascinating new research is popping up that challenges that whole idea.
Yeah, the conventional wisdom for a while now has been that for any really complex problem, you need a whole agent army, right? You need one agent to be the planner, another to be the coder, a third one to be the reviewer, all of them passing the task along.
But what if that's actually less efficient? What if all that passing back and forth introduces errors? The new thinking is, what if a single, really focused agent that holds all the context from start to finish could actually do the job better than an entire team?
Well, say hello to Operand Quant. It's a new single-agent architecture, and the results are pretty stunning. On a tough standardized benchmark for machine learning tasks, it didn't just do well. It set a new state-of-the-art record. It actually outperformed complex multi-agent systems, and by a pretty wide margin. What this suggests is that maybe for certain kinds of problems, having one unified thought process is just better than splitting it up. Okay, so, wow. We've got the no-code enterprise giants, we've got the powerful pro-code frameworks, and now we even have these breakthrough single-agent systems. With all these options, how in the world are you supposed to choose? Let's pull this all together and give you a simple framework to think about it.
All right, if you're leaning towards a low-code or no-code solution, this table is a great place to start. It basically maps platforms to specific needs. For example, if you're in a highly regulated industry like finance, you're going to care a lot about governance and security, so you'd look at something like StackAI. Or maybe you need to build really complex, deep workflows. You know, what developers call orchestration. In that case, you'd want a power tool like NN.
Look, at the end of the day, it all boils down to answering 3 simple but fundamental questions for yourself. Step 1, assess your ecosystem. Where is your data right now? Step 2, define your user. Who's actually going to be building this stuff? Is it business users or is it hardcore developers? And step 3, and this is so important, prioritize governance. Things like security, auditing, compliance, they can't be an afterthought. They have to be part of the conversation from day one.
So there you have it. The era of the agentic workforce isn't coming. It's already here. And it's forcing all of us to rethink everything. Not just the tools we buy, but the very nature of how our teams are structured and how we get work done. So the only question left is, are you ready?